We're just working out the final technical challenges that we having with these kind of things. As you know, they don't always work perfectly.
That was a long step. Sorry. Hi, Dad.
Right.
Can we switch to screen for a second?
Mm-hmm. Ready? Ready? Okay, we're going to get started. If you can put your cell phones on silence, please. We'll start with the prayer. Heavenly Father, amid the hustle and bustle of the journey to qualify our athletes for the Paris 2024 Olympics, we pause to express our profound gratitude. We are genuinely thankful that we've made it this far. We are thankful for this precious opportunity afforded to them to showcase their talent to the world. Thank you for the invaluable lessons we learned through sports, the cherished friendships we forge, and the indelible memories we create. We extend our heartfelt thanks for this moment and for all those who make it possible. Our sponsors, member associations, families, and friends. All this we ask in no other name but Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Minister with responsibility for education, youth affairs, and sports, Honorable Sherry Castro. BVI Olympic Committee President Ephraim Penn. BVI Olympic Committee Executive President, Executive from BVI Athletic Association and the Royal BVI Yacht Club, Chef Tahisha, athletes and officials, sponsors, family, friends, well-wishers, BVI public, good morning. Welcome to the Paris 2024 Delegation Announcement Press Conference. We will now start with remarks by BVI Olympic Committee President Ephraim Penn.
Thank you very much, Lloyd, and I acknowledge the protocol established. I'd also like to recognize, I don't know if I heard, Steve Augustine, the president of the British Virgin Islands Athletic Association, the athletes join us by Zoom, and everyone here present. It's really, this occasion is one where you take a deep breath and relax a little bit, because we have had a interesting journey to where we are so far. And we couldn't have done it without the support of, first and foremost, the national federations, the athletes, government of the Virgin Islands, and more importantly now, private sponsors. This journey for us really started back in 2012 when we launched the Elite Athletes Program to sort of keep our top athletes active and competitive with those in other countries that are much more equipped than we are. And that journey has led us to where we are now. Along the way, we had quite a number of successes, quite a number of CAC medals. We had our first ever Commonwealth Game medals twice. We had Pan Am medals. And when 2021 came and we had 2 finalists at the Olympics, we realized that there was a paradigm shift in the whole equation, that we are now on a journey, on a trajectory towards the final chapter in this journey so far, which was to get a medal at the Olympic Games. And so that created a whole new dynamic for us. And that, while we were just going along and saying, well, we're going to attend, and our athletes have forced us now to up our game as an administration and as a government to really see that they are world-class athletes. They're not just competing on a regional level, but on the international level. So after 2021, we said, well, we have to be prepared to meet the demands of the athletes as they come due. And so we said, but we cannot do that with the existing funding we have. So we have to look for sources to augment the program we were running and to try to help these athletes. And believe me, it's not cheap. And the athletes will tell you their story. I think that's going to be more important when you hear their journey and their story, that why we're here, it's a special occasion. And when you look at the countries in the Caribbean who are going to be sending athletes to the Olympics, and you look at the size of those countries and you look at the size of the British Virgin Islands, I think in track and field, we are on par with Grenada, and that we are sending 3, and I don't think there's any other small island that are sending more than 1 or 2. Even Barbados is just sending 1 athlete. So that is a testament to the sacrifice, the dedication, and the accomplishment of the athletes on the screen here. So they have done their part. Now it's now for us to continue and to help them along the way. And one of the key moments, I think, with us is when we heard that Tad Letsom qualified in sailing. It was a long shot. Everybody thought it wasn't going to happen, but Tad was determined that, as we say in South Olacton, come hell or high water, he was going to make it. And he did. And that, to me, is really outstanding. We had a total of 6 athletes on our program. And this will tell you how good our program is and how good the athletes are. We had 6 athletes on the program, and down to the 30th, they were still in contention. All of them were in contention to qualify to go to the Olympics. Unfortunately, 2 did not make it. Eldred Henry and Chantel Malone. But we had Kyron McMaster making, Adija Hart, Tad Letsom, and Ricoy Brathwaite. So I think we need to give ourselves a clap for doing a job well done. I'm going to close because I think we have some very interesting athletes there that we're going to hear from. And of course, the minister, I'd like to thank you for your efforts and on the journey. I know we not always get things work out right, but at the end, it's perfect. We're here. We have achieved a lot, and we still have a lot more to go. So we still need to continue to work because we have, as Steve may probably tell you, we have about 10 more athletes waiting to break down the door. So we got to be ready for when they come in and have everything in place so that the journey will continue and we'll have a successful trajectory. As I said, now we are number 2 or 3 in the Caribbean with number of athletes going to the Olympics. Of course, Jamaica, Trinidad, and us and Grenada. So that's really outstanding. Lloyd, you want to?
Yeah, thank you, President Ephraim. We will now hear from Chef Jahphix, and then we'll hear from the minister.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, media, and fellow sports enthusiasts, good morning. Today, it is my profound pleasure and privilege to introduce to you the incredible athletes, and I call them the Mighty Four, who will be representing the British Virgin Islands at Paris 2024 Olympic Games. These remarkable individuals exemplify the spirit, determination, and talent that defines our beautiful island. First, let me introduce Kyron McMaster, our star in the 400-meter hurdles. Kyron has already made history by bringing home numerous medals and breaking records on the international stage. His dedication and resilience inspires us all, and we are confident that he will shine even brighter at Paris. Next, we have Rekoy Grant, a force to be reckoned with in the 100 meters. Rekoy's speed and precision has earned him his accolades and admiration around the world. His journey to the Olympics has been nothing short of extraordinary, and we eagerly await his explosive performance on the track. Representing us in the 200 meters is the phenomenal Adasia Hodge. Adasia's prowess and determination has set her apart as one of the most promising athletes in the British Virgin Islands. Her energy and passion are contagious, and we know she will make us proud as she shines towards glory and heights. Taking to the waters, we have Tad Letson, competing in the ILCA 7 Blazers sailing event. Tad's skills and expertise in navigating the challenging seas has secured him his position at Paris 2024. His dedication to the sport and his exceptional performances make him a true ambassador of the British Virgin Islands. These athletes embody the growth and potential of sports in the British Virgin Islands. Over the past years, we have seen significant increase in participation and success across various disciplines. It is a testament to the hard work and commitment of our athletes, their coaches, and the entire sporting community. As the chef, I have had the privilege of witnessing firsthand the dedication and perseverance of our athletes. Their journeys are filled with countless hours of training, overcoming obstacles, and pushing their limits. It is the unwavering passion and support of their team, their family, their friends, their sponsors, the British Virgin Islands Olympic Committee, the British Virgin Islands Athletic Association, and the British Virgin Islands BVI government, and the BVI community that has brought them to this stage. Our team for Paris 2024 is filled with 4 amazing athletes and a supportive delegation made up of head coach Willis Conway, John Carlos Arroyo, physio Turner Collins, personal coach Jarrell Berry for athletics, and coach Christopher Waters and Paxton Bragg for sailing. The growth in various sports is a reflection of the immense talent we have in the British Virgin Islands. Our territory might be small, but we are making waves on the world stage. Our Mighty Four are among the best in the world, and they serve as an inspiration to all of us. So as we cheer for Kyron, for Coy, Adasia, and Thad, let us remember that their journey is not just about their personal achievements, but also about the pride and unity of our entire territory. Their successes are our successes. Their dreams are our dreams. Let us continue to support them in every step of the way, from their training grounds to the grand stage of Paris 2024 Olympic Week. Together as one BVI, we stand behind our athletes, carrying them on with unwavering support and admiration. Congratulations, Kyron, McCoy, Adeja, and Thad. We believe in you, and we know you will make us proud. So Paris 2024, here we come. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Thank you, Tahisha.
Now I would like to introduce our athletes. You are, I'm not sure if you're good at me, Lloyd.
Okay, we shall now hear from the minister. Thank you.
Lloyd?
No, she
The minister?
Well, I'll introduce our athletes to say something in reference to their journey. First, we'll start with Adeja because her case was a little tight today. So we'll bring Adeja to the
See if she could.
Good morning, everybody. I would say this journey, this season has been a season of patience. After the injury, it was kind of hard to still have Paris in mind and coming back from just being out for 6 weeks. But having the support group there, like Coach Arroyo, Coach Perry, and just my teammates, it just really helped me to have the courage to go and take a big leap. So I would say this season has shown me that anything is possible with God, and just keep focused and do what you have to do basically to make sure that you achieve your goals. So that would be my remarks for this season.
Kyron McMaster.
Thank you for that introduction, Taisha. You introduced me like I didn't even from Insta BVI. But I appreciate the support that we've been getting from the BVI Olympic Committee, the funding committee that started with the Taisha Harrigan. That tremendously helped me throughout this season. I've been battling with a lot of injuries myself, but I think this season, most importantly, has been teaching me to be more patient and a lot more patient with what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to do it. But this 2024, personally, I feel is gonna be a personal one because I feel amongst us as athletes, we have that internal competition of who's gonna bring home the first medal. And Recoy wants it, Adeja wants it, Tad in the runs for it. So I feel that this is what makes it a bit more interesting on all remarks, who can be the one to break that history barrier, of course. And then, with the BVI support, guys, I'll always be there. So I appreciate the support we've been getting from y'all. And, I rooting for myself to bring home the first Olympic medal. No, you know what I mean? I want to bring home the Olympic medals, but hopefully I bring it home first. You understand?
Good luck.
Next up, we have Recoy Bradford.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I just want to quickly say a thank you to everybody that's been a part of our mission, a part of our success, a part of our, our whole journey. I know y'all put it in a way like we helped develop this, but from I was from you, Taisha, watching, all other past artists like myself come up, watching them on TV, see them make semi-finals at Wars and finals at Wars, that was what really motivated me. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the other athletes do. After it, You know, because it's the difference between seeing both in them on the stage, just seeing somebody that from your own country doing what they're doing. So, yeah, I just want to say thank you for that and for your dedication, not only your mom, but thank you for yours and being able to see you and the other guys that do their thing indoors and they see you. And it up to preseason because you never know what will happen. So, this season has been wonderful, and you know, I keep progressing and progressing, and that's how it's cool, that's how it's been.
Thank you. And last but definitely not least, we have Tad Bledsoe.
Well, thanks. Thank you, Taisha, for the introduction. And I would like to, I guess, firstly thank a few people. First and foremost, my parents and family, the minister and her ministry, the BVI OC, the Royal BVI Yacht Club, and the Federation. My coach, Chris Waters, and various other people who have been supporting me along the way. And then a number of individuals whom, if I begin to name, I will surely miss. So,
Sorry, 1 second. He's muted. Understand.
can I?
The audio is gone. His thing is muted.
Try now.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
All right, go again or just keep going? All right, as I was saying, I was just thanking people, and if I begin to name the individuals, I'll miss them, so I'll be sure to thank them all at a later time. But as Taisha said, it's been a long road, and the majority of it is still ahead, so we're looking forward to the Olympics and representing the BVI well.
Go ahead.
To mention the BVI government and the work sharing that's helped get us to this point, especially from the government. And I just personally appreciate that one more time. You know, she went down from where she studied so that seems the way for other countries to be in position and in some car 8 years from now. I'm hoping that the ambassador and the car and
Thank you.
the chef like that or something along the line, yeah.
Let me try to take my job. Also, I want to truly apologize for not mentioning the Royal British Yacht Club. I did have you guys here, and I missed you, but your efforts and your commitment to the sport and helping Tad on his way was exceptional. That when I received the news, it was phenomenal. So I do apologize for not mentioning.
Okay, thank you, Taisha. We shall now hear from the Honorable Minister.
Good morning, everyone. Let me acknowledge everyone in the room who has played an instrumental role in us getting to this point. Of course, highlighting the OC, the associations and federations present, the sponsors, the media, and most importantly, the Olympians who have qualified for the Paris Olympics. The journey has been hard, it's been arduous, but I believe that the fact that we are here today speaks volumes to the level of talent and grit that we have in our athletes. I truly want to take this opportunity to appreciate their honesty. We've had some very honest and frank conversations from the association and federation, as well as in relation to the athletes themselves. If I could recall very specifically, my first interaction with most of the athletes would have been at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in 2022. That was my first official trip as minister. And we would have sat and we would have had some very difficult but very necessary conversations regarding how the government could support sports development in the territory. And of course, you would have had engagement with the OC, the AA, the BVI Yacht Club, and others to seek to understand how that looks and where we go. And as I heard the gratitude from the athletes this morning, I think it really speaks volumes to the fact that we've reached a pinnacle. Of course, there's a lot more work to do. We still have some more surgery to do on the documents to really continue to develop and grow them. But I'm happy that what we would have come to was a decision that ultimately created a pathway for continued support from the government of the Virgin Islands to athletes across the territory. In January of 2024, the government of the Virgin Islands, the cabinet, would have passed a paper through the Ministry of Education allowing for contributions, annual contributions to elite athletes across the territory in all sports. And we would have created a mechanism in partnership and in conjunction with the technical persons that sought to create a Tier 1 and a Tier 2 athlete. And the criteria was, like I said, created with the support of the technical experts. And so these athletes have a mechanism where they now know that in order to receive and to qualify for funding, they must reach this specific threshold, and they are able to get this funding. I want to say that we fought very vigorously in the 2024 budget, and we were able to receive and put in $205,000 towards this program, and this $205,000 has already been dispatched to our athletes, 8 of them who have benefited from this contribution from the government of the Virgin Islands. The 4 athletes who are named here today on the Olympic team would have received this funding. Kyron McMaster, a Tier 1 athlete, $45,000. Rick Hoy and Adeja, Tier 2 athletes for athletics, $21,000. And Tad Letsom, a Tier 2 athlete for sailing, $25,000. Just to say, we also had additional athletes who were seeking to qualify for the Olympics. And so Eldred, Beyonce, and Jaimon would have also been recipients of this contribution from government at $21,000 as Tier 2 athletes, and Chantal Malone as a Tier 1 athlete at $30,000. So overall, government specific to this program would have contributed $205,000. And I want to really thank my colleagues for supporting the Ministry of Education in our pursuit to assist our elite athletes across the territory. Let me end by saying that I believe that while some of it is really a drop in the bucket compared to the real expenses that these athletes have when they choose to become professional athletes, but I believe that the ministry and the government has an obligation to support sports at all levels. And that's why we're doing it through grassroots programs, through summer school, through after-school programs in partnerships with the associations and federations. It's why we're supporting the associations and federations with annual contributions to their annual calendar to be able to support their grassroots initiatives. It's why we have grants available to athletes who can write in and apply to the Ministry for Sporting Grants, and now this program for elite athletes. So on multiple levels, we've seen a huge commitment from the government of the Virgin Islands regarding sports. I've touted it, I'm proud of it. The budget for the Department of Sports has grown from $600,000 2 years ago to $2.1 million. And it really speaks to the reality of what we're seeing here today. So I want to congratulate the BVI OC, who has led the way in terms of providing funding through Olympic Solidarity and other means. And I also want to thank the sponsors of the Taisha Harrigan-Scott program who are here as well today. Private sector partnership is important. And once again, of course, the government of the Virgin Islands. So to the athletes, I look forward to the amazing work you'll do in Paris. I know that one of you, if not more than one of you, is intent on bringing home a medal, and I'm hoping it's a gold. But I think when we look at where we started 40 years ago and where we are today, we're kind of in the same stead. But this time around, I think we'll be on the podium. And I look forward to seeing the success, and I look forward to see the flags in Paris flying high. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Minister De Castro. We will now hear from the executives of the 2 associations that will be represented at Paris 2024. We'll hear from the president of athletics. Before we hear from Steve, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of one of our sponsors, the National Bank of the Virgin Islands. Also, Clarence Thomas. Yes.
A pleasant good morning, everyone. I'm especially happy to be here this morning. I was put at the end of the remarks, and I thought seriously just last night, what is it that I can say that wouldn't put me in a position to repeat all that would have been said before I spoke. So bear with me just a few minutes. I should be a little bit interesting, at least I hope. But again, I stand here along my peers to congratulate those who have made the Olympic team to represent Team BVI. Kyron McMaster, OB. I add the OB at the end of the name. Adeja Hodge, Rikoy Brathwaite, and of course you, Tad. Certainly not directly under the athletics umbrella, but I congratulate you as well. You guys have proven that you are truly deserved of being mentioned amongst the best athletes in the world. I say that because the qualification system to make it to the Olympics, it's not an easy task. Some have described it as rigid, some have described it as being unforgiving, and some have described it as being extremely competitive. And you guys have demonstrated that you have the ability to do it, and you've made it. I recalled when I put my notes together while we're speaking about how competitive or how difficult it is to make those qualification standard for the Olympics. A few short months ago, as you guys would recall, President of World Athletics, Lord Sebastian Coe, visited the shores of the BVI. And he said quite a bit, much too much for me to mention this morning. But there's one thing in particular that he said while he was here that has stuck with me ever since he left. And I'm going to try to coin it as close to the way that he put it so you guys can understand exactly what I'm trying to relate. I said, Coach. Lord Sebastian Coe said, if you are seeking to medal at the Olympics, the highest level of athletic performance, athletics is perhaps the most difficult sport you can choose to do so. And his reasoning for saying so is that, unlike some other sports, everyone in the world runs, jumps, and throws. Taking nothing away from the other federations here, but I want you guys to understand the magnitude of what is happening before our eyes with these three athletes who are going to represent Team BVI at the Olympics. And as I thought about my comments last night, I think President Penn may have spoken about it. I just heard the minister mention some names. There are some names that are not on the Olympic list this year. But I'm telling you guys, World Championships is scheduled for next year. And all I'm going to say for now is stay tuned. Beyonce De Freitas, I want you to remember those names. Jaiman Gomes, Jalil Kroll, a newcomer. But he's not really a newcomer, you know. If you check the history, you'll see that he's been around doing this thing for a while. Eldred Henry, and of course, Chantel Malone. I'm going to stop there just for now because I'm limited on time. But just stay tuned. We'll be back next year around the same time, and hopefully I'll be in a position to mention some additional names. Now, the BVI Athletics has had a long history of representing the territory at the Olympics. And President Penn, I hope you permit me just a few extra minutes, because I wanted to give a historical perspective as to where we were, where we're at, and where we're going. Last night, I started to jot some notes together, and I went back to our first appearance at the Olympics, which was in 1984. This was at the Los Angeles Olympics. And I sit here this morning as president of the BVI Athletics Association because I'm going to, as they say, fly my wings just a little bit and let you guys know what athletics has been doing over the years. My notes say, in Los Angeles, we had a total of 9 athletes. 4 of those athletes represented athletics. And I'm going to mention the names because we have Olympians amongst us. Just this morning, I saw 3 Olympians in this room. I don't know if you guys know that, but we're going to get to that in just a bit. In 1984, we had Guy Hill, Lyndall Hodge, Dean, the sportsman Greenway, who's sitting right with us, and Jerry Molyneux. In Seoul, 1988, we had a total of 3 athletes. 2 represented BVI Athletics. Lyndall Hodge, you guys know him, and the fellow that's sitting to my left, Willie Stodman. In Barcelona in 1992, we had Carl Scatliff. In Atlanta, 1996, we had a total of 7 athletes. 6 of those athletes represented BVI Athletics Association. And those athletes were Greg Reimer, Ralston Valak, Keita Klein, the man sitting next to me once again, Willis Stodman, Coach Willis Stodman, or head coach, I should say, President Penn of the Olympic team this year, Mario Todman, and of course, I don't boast about it too often, but I'll get a chance to say it this morning, yours truly, Steve Augustine. At the Sydney Olympics, we had one athlete, again, BVI Athletics Association, and that was Keita Klein, very well decorated. In Athens, no stranger to athletics, as I say on the track, we all know that was Dion Crabb. One athlete, Dion Crabb. In Beijing, 2008, I think I missed a few years, but it's fine. We had Eric Matthias, Tahisha Harrigan-Scott, she's with us on camera. I said we had how many? 3? We actually have, well, we have more than 3. We have Kyron and those guys are here too. Right. So excuse me there, but I'll get to all that in a bit. Eric Matthias, Tahisha Harrigan-Scott. In London, we had, 2012, we had Jamal Alexander, and again, Tahisha Harrigan-Scott. In Rio de Janeiro, we had 4 athletes. 3 athletes represented athletics. Ashley Kelly, I think I saw Ashley there as well. We have more than we're saying. Eldred Henry. In Tokyo, Karen McMaster, and of course, Chantel Malone. And now in Paris, we have Adeja, Rikoy, and Kyron. I only say that for one specific reason. I think it's important that the public knows who has represented the territory at this level. That number is limited, and it's a selected few. And my notes would go on to say that over the years, the qualification system has changed. And I don't want to leave here this morning without, again, reinforcing the fact that these athletes not only had to qualify, but they had to make quota. You've got a total of 206 nations seeking a spot to represent their country to compete at the Olympic Games. We have a total of 3. I didn't do the ratio, 3 of, 30,000? I remember I got to do the math on that. I remember at the 96 Olympics, the BVI was the most represented territory there based on athletes. I'll check that once again. We are again. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I made some notes in relation to our athletes. Tahisha, you did a wonderful job going through the bios and accolades of the athletes who are going to represent Team BVI. But I made some notes as well. They run in tandem to the notes that you've made in your deliverance. But just bear with me as I break down how our athletes came about making the qualification standard. So I'm going to start with Rikoy Brathwaite. Rikoy is currently ranked at present 33rd of 56 athletes that made the quota. So he's deep in there. He qualified based on the ranking system, racking up a total of 1,246 points. He has a season's best of 10.03 seconds, but we all witnessed him, when was it, last year, Coach Stodman running sub 10, with a little bit of win, but we're not going to talk too much about the win today. He came home just a few short weeks ago and he ran 10:24 at the BVI National Championships. And it's important that I mention the BVI National Championships because despite all the meets that Rikoy has ran at, coming home to run at the BVI National Championships awarded Rikoy a total of 100 points towards qualifying for the Olympics. I'm certainly not saying that without it he wouldn't have, but I'm saying that those points were critical in his qualification system to the Olympics. So in saying that, I want to commend my executive. Mr. Todman is sitting next to me. My vice president is here, Ralston Henry, he's in the back. Stephanie Ruspen. They all walk with me alongside the round table, and we were able to make that happen, and make that happen in a meaningful way for our athletes. Of course, Rikoy has a long list of accolades under his belt. I'm not going to list them all, but I just want the general public or those who are seeing this on Facebook or on television to realize and recognize who Rikoy is. Rikoy started back with us a very long time ago. I think he really came to the forefront of the scene when he got that bronze medal at the Carifta Games back some years ago. He's represented the territory at World Junior Championships, NACAC Championships with a bronze medal, World Indoor Championships. I think he finished 12th of 50 athletes. World Championships, he finished 24th of 48 athletes. And now, of course, he's on the team that's representing Team BVI at the Paris Olympics. He has a long list of accolades on the collegiate scene, much too much for me to mention, but I think some of the ones that really stand out in relation to his performances over the years speaks to his Big Ten Conference Championships at Indiana and his NACAC Indoor Bronze Medal in the 60 meters. So Recoy is certainly not one that just came about. He's been showing that he is a true contender for many years for Team BVI. Next up, Karen McMaster. I really don't need to say much because you couldn't be living on planet Earth if you don't know that name in athletics. Karen McMaster, OB, as he's now formally called, is ranked number 4 of 40 athletes. He qualified not based on the point system, he qualified outright based on the qualification system. He's ran a season's best of 47.26, and he has a personal best of 47.08. At the national level, too many meets for me to all mention, but I'll mention some of the bigger ones. He was 4th at the Olympics in 2020. That's as close to medaling as you get. We've spoken about that many times over, and all I'm going to say again is stay tuned. He was 2nd at the World Championships, one of my happiest moments in athletics, not as an athlete, but as president, as a witness of someone else's accomplishment. But he grabbed a silver medal at Budapest just last year, and that says a lot. That is tantamount to medaling at the Olympics. He was 4th at the World Championships in Doha. He's a 2-time Diamond League champion, 3rd as an under-20 athlete at World Juniors, 2-time NACAC champion, 2-time Commonwealth Games champion, 4th at the CAC Games. And in 2017, I just put a number of stars here next to the 2017 World Championships, Karen, because we know what the eventuality would have been if things didn't play out the way that it did. I think I missed someone, right? I mentioned Recoy. Adeja Hodge. I started with Recoy. I started with Adeja. And Adeja Hodge, who has made it in the 200, is currently ranked 45 of 48 athletes. She qualified based on the point system with a total of 1,182 points. She has a season's best. I didn't realize this until just last night. And I hope I'm correct in saying this. She has a season's best of 22.81, which she ran at the BVI National Championships. I think that is big because we all know, we've seen her at the New Balance Nationals, we've seen her at several different meets. She came home and she ran her fastest meet right here in the BVI. She racked up 100 points, similar to Recoy, and she has a personal best of 22.33 in the 200. I looked at the stats last night. I looked at the Road to Paris website last night, and I also looked at the rankings for all athletes who are seeking to make the qualifiers in the 200. And what I did is that I went to the date of births. And I can't say that I spent an hour doing it. I was very cursory and rolling the what do you call it, the mouse from the top to the bottom and the bottom to the top. But I didn't see, and I think that's something that we need to say and let people know, I didn't see anyone younger than Adeja competing in the 200. I do believe she's the youngest competitor in the 200. I stand to be corrected, but that is what I saw last night, and that needs to be said. I think we need to give her a round of applause for that. At the national level, of course, we've seen her at the Carifta Games. We've seen her at World Championships. And we're going to see her in Paris. Not neglecting the long list of U.S. championships. I think one of the biggest one that she's done is the New Balance High School Nationals. You know that she was a 2-time champion. We saw her this year once again doing her thing. So those are my notes. But again, I'm truly happy about what BVI Athletics has achieved over the years. Certainly not just under my reign, but from its initiation. And I can only see further growth as far as the sport is concerned. So again, congratulations to the athletes. I wish the team well. I expect to be on the sidelines cheering on at some point. Those details are still being sorted, but again, congratulations to all involved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, President Steve. The story is being told and you did it well. Thank you very much. We'll now hear from sailing.
Good morning, everybody. Edward Brockbank from the Royal BVI Yacht Club. Thank you for your remarks, Steve. I feel like I can't follow on from that, but no, very well spoken, and thank you everybody else who has spoken. I would like to congratulate all the athletes who are going to Paris, but I also would like to congratulate the athletes that didn't make it and wish them all the very best. Keep trying. Do not give up, because we've got your back, absolutely all of us. I couldn't be more proud of Thad. He is joining a long line of past sailors, dating back to Robin Tattersall, who we all know. I don't know when did 84 was when he first was in the Olympics. Yeah, with John Shirley and a number of other people. Elbert Myers, Keith was there. Robbie Hurst, which we all know. And Thad, you're going to join a long line of really great sailors. I've had the opportunity to sail with Thad in the past, and I learned a thing or two from Thad. So on behalf of the Royal BVI Yacht Club, we wish you all the very, very best, Thad, and I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I didn't even know I was going to speak today. So thank you very much, all the very, very best.
Okay, thanks to our speakers for their great presentation. We'll now give the media a chance to ask their questions and hopefully get a response from either the athletes or the officials present.
Good morning, Kathy Richards, JTV. First of all, congratulations to Team BVI headed to Paris Olympics. I jumped this morning when I looked at the list. I really did not know that Adesia was on it. Beat me if I wasn't following too closely. But really congratulations. And for the Minister for Education, if you could explain to us a little bit, if you have that information, how do we determine the tiers, the different tiers that you spoke of?
Okay, so you can give me some time. I need to pull that up because there's actually a document that Cabinet would have passed that speaks to the specific tier structure. So just give me a few minutes, okay, if you could continue on, and I'll find that for you.
Okay, then my next question would be to Thad. Thad, this is your very first time heading to the Olympics. To many it might have come as a surprise. I don't know if you surprised yourself. But you're going on the heels of persons like Mr. Tattersall, you know. Have you had conversation with him to know what the field was like then and what you're to expect now?
Thank you for the question. Briefly, I've spoken to a few people via messages, and I'm sure I will see some during my time here. But I've gotten some good advice from those I've spoken to, which I'm very grateful for. And like I said, I'll likely continue speaking to them, and especially for information.
Okay, and in terms of researching your competitors, those that you'll be going up against, what are your prospects when you look at their records and yours?
Well, there's a wide range of competitors in the laser, different ages. For some people, it's their 5th Olympics. For some people, it's their 1st. So my goal, as always, is to put the BVI flag ahead of as many others as possible. So that's what I'll be going and attempting to do.
All right, just to answer the question that was posed. So we have a Tier 1 athlete. The qualification standards are as follows. Medalists at Olympic Games, World Championships or Commonwealth Games. Finalists at Olympics Games or World Championships. Top 20 in the world rankings determined by end of year rankings, and the annual contribution for that is up to $45,000. The Tier 2 elite athlete, qualification standards is as follows. Finalists at Pan American Games, NACAC Open Championships or CAC Games, semi-finalists at Commonwealth Games, Olympic Games or World Championships automatic qualifier, top 100 in the NACAC region determined by year-end rankings, performance close to World Championships and Olympic Games qualifying standards. That annual contribution amount is up to $25,000. And just to say the application process, athletes seeking funding should submit a written request to their respective sports associations or federations. Their organization will then verify their qualifications and assign athletes to the appropriate tier based on eligibility and performance. The recommendation process is as follows. Associations or federations will compile a list of qualified athletes with their recommended tier and funding amount, and this list will be sent to the ministry for final approval. So that gives a whole understanding of how the process works, and I'm happy that we were able to get it done this year towards qualification for the Olympics.
Okay, and this is a process that has to be applied for every year or every season?
Yeah, so you have to meet the standard annually to be able to qualify. So they'll write to the association or federation, who would then seek to validate the standard performance-based, who would then supply a document to the ministry verifying that the athletes would have met the qualification standards, and subsequently the contribution would be dispersed.
Okay, and finally to the BVI Athletics Association, over the past 5 years, could you make that comparison as to where you were then and to where we're at now?
Over the past 5 years?
Yeah.
Well, I think generally speaking, we've grown. Of course, we're now at the point where we've had Shanton Malone and Karen McMaster at the Olympics, placing very high positions, making finals. That is something that we were unable to do over the years, and we've grown to the point where that is now not just an expectation, but it's a reality. As a matter of fact, we're not going in there this year looking at coming home without a medal. We are looking at medaling this year, and that's a reality that the BVI Athletics Association, the BVI Olympic Committee, and other federations can now brag and boast and say that, we have grown. We've not stayed stagnant. Our athletes have continued to perform at a high level. In my delivery just a few short minutes ago, I spoke about Kyron's silver medal at the World Championships just last year. If that is not an indication, then I certainly can't tell you what really is. That's a medal that Kyron was able to secure at perhaps one of the highest level in athletics that you can recognize as far as the sport is concerned. This year, of course, we're speaking about the Olympics. And guess what? His competitors are the very same guys he competed against last year at World Championships. So the stage might be different, but the game still is the same. Our athletes are ready. And I'm speaking about Kyron, but look at the progress that Adeja has made. Well, she has been very aggressive with her progress, but look at the progress that she's made over the years. She's still a teenager. And I'm not saying that there are not other teenagers competing at the Olympics, but that is our teenager that's competing at the Olympics. That's not normal. So, well, there you go. She's still in high school. She's a high school athlete. Well, she just graduated, but she's a high school athlete. And of course, Rikoy has grown steadily over the years. I like Rikoy. I mean, those guys, all of them, they need to write books by the time they're finished, because if you look at their progression over the years, there were definitely some indicators in there as to why we are where we are today. And I'm certainly, again, I'm not sidelining those athletes that didn't make it. I think we have 2 or 3 athletes over in Europe right now competing on the circuit. Things are good and things are getting better. Our athletes are performing. We're not just, I think it was President Penn that said, we're not just going to meets to participate. We're going to the meets to compete. And that, if there's anything that we can credit ourselves on, it would be that. BVI Athletics Association, our athletes, they are very competitive.
Okay, just to follow up on my last question, when we talk about development, you spoke a great lot about the growth of our athletes. One thing we would have heard at the recent championships we had is that call for the facilities to be better so that they can perform at their maximum. What are the plans in that area?
So we have, and Willis, this is probably something you definitely should speak on. Brother Tubman that sits next to me, Olympian. He's also the treasurer on the BVI Athletics Association. He works with a committee that's been very aggressive in raising funds in relation to improving our facility. Of course, government has done their fair bit over the years. We've sat with the minister several times over the past year or so, where we've brought these concerns up. Brother Penn was on the track with me during the visit with SEPCO, looking specifically at the track. He came through for me a few short years ago when you had the surface redone. I think it's just a matter of time before things fall in place. Where President Henry is sitting in the back. He called me just 2 days ago, yesterday, about conversations with Mondo. So things are happening in the background. We live in a world where people only believe what they see, not realizing, I think there's a terminology that goes, if you look at the duck in the pond, he looks like he's not doing very much, but if you take a dive under the sea, you'll see how fast those feet are pedaling. So things are happening behind the scene. When the time is appropriate, we'll bring those things to the forefront, but be not fooled. Things are not in stagnation as far as athletics is concerned.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Penn, just today, I know that there was a long-term athlete development program involving all the sports. I mean, where we're here now, we also have to look at what's coming up. What is the state of that program, the long-term athlete development program?
Thank you very much for the question, Dean. It's still, we are working diligently to get it back up and running again. There's been with COVID and everything else, things have taken a turn. But we have about 5 sports that were in the initial program that are still there. We are working with squash, athletics, of course, sailing, rugby, and we are looking now at, I'm talking about at the competition level, beach volleyball and 3-on-3 basketball. So those are the sports that we're going to start channeling the athletes into as we go towards the future. Of course, each national federation has their own development program that we are going to support, that we continue to support. And we're going to be working closely with the Department of Youth Affairs and Sports with their program so that we can build the grassroots up and start finding athletes to channel them into the different programs. So that in a nutshell is where we are now. We are working with the college to make sure we get the swimming pool project done, because we still see swimming as one of the key sports that can get us to a higher level. And their program has started there with Barracuda Swim Club and what other clubs. So we are on our way in those areas.
Okay, well, since we're on this topic as it relates to future sports and upcoming Olympics, you would have seen the mini squash being entered into the
28
Olympics, and we were just seeing a recently concluded successful regional tournament here hosted in BVI, one of the best in castle history as it relates to the hosting of the competition. What can we expect from as it relates to the Olympic Committee in supporting the efforts of what is happening right now to ensure that we can potentially field a team for that 2028 Olympic Games?
Well, just piggyback on what I just mentioned, squash is one of the development sports we have in the LTAD program. And for that very reason, now that it's in the Olympics, it's going to be much easier to access funding from Olympic Solidarity for different squash programs. So we definitely target squash. 2028, these youngsters there might be a little young, but we are working with them, and they're going to come to us with a development program that we will then take to Olympic Solidarity to fund, to try to get them there, squash. And we are very, very excited about beach volleyball also. And 3-on-3 basketball is a challenge right now, but beach volleyball is a team sport, and squash, archery is another sport we're looking closely at. We had meetings with the Secretary for International Archery on with a Zoom call with the local archery association. And we're looking towards getting athletes to next year, 2025 Junior Pan Am Games in Paraguay. So we're looking at different sports because we realize that the more sports we have, sailing now is back on the Olympic calendar with the accomplishment of TAD. We see that the BVI is so talented that we're just trying to get as much exposure to the different sports as possible so that persons could know that there are opportunities that they can look into. And we definitely, at the Olympic Committee, is committed to that process.
My next question is to Todd. Approximately 8 to 9 months ago, we would have had a conversation interview, and you're adamant of qualifying for the Olympic Games. Fast forward to now you've qualified. What has training been like ahead of the Olympic Games? And I'm sure the question was asked before if you're aware of the competition, but obviously someone who competes in these on the international scene, often you're obviously aware of how intense the competition is. So what's the game plan for you going into your first Olympic Games, and how has training been like ahead of such?
Well, I'll answer from the back and then go the other way. So the game plan is to go in swinging, to essentially be a pest to everybody there, and not backing down. But in terms of what the schedule has been like in preparation, I just came off the back of a essentially month-long training camp. I was in Canada with my coach, Chris Waters, and my training partner, a guy named Brian Anderson from Canada, who is essentially the best sailor in Canada. We've been working together for the last month. We did a trip to Marseille a few weeks ago, essentially familiarization with the venue there. And a month ago today, I finished 4th at the North American Championship, so that was a practice event. And then before that, I was in school, so it was a bit of school and training at the same time. But since Pan Am, since you last saw me, it's been a mix of training and competition. The World Championships was an event I did in December. I did, I guess, what track and field people would call like a circuit event, a practice event in Spain, finished 25th out of 100. That was in April. Went back to school, continued training, and then, as I said, got off school and then have been now training full time for the last month. And in addition to that, it's been a lot of time in the gym. Fitness is a big part of our sport. So I was just trying to gain weight, stay fit, and keep the cardio as high as possible.
Okay. I know you would have mentioned in terms of juggling both school and also ensuring that you would have met the respective standards, etc., to compete in these competitions as well. How difficult is it in terms of balancing both of those and still delivering the performances that you do?
It's quite difficult because in school we sail a different type of boat. And for the Olympics, I'll be competing in the laser. The ILCA is a one-person boat. In university, we sail a two-person boat. So you really try to just maximize and make your training as efficient as possible and gain what you can from the one type of sailing to apply it to the other. But it's really just about putting in the time and working hard and trying not to think of those things as setbacks, but just using them and keeping your head down and working hard.
My next question is to the Honorable Castro. We see the BVI fielding for members in terms of athletes this year. At least 3 of those are track athletes. And we do see in terms of another initial plans, especially with the last visit of Lord Cole as it relates to the track here. Does that, I guess, motivate your government, for example, to push even harder to try to get some further developments here at the track so that we can have even the local athletes that are here that may not be at the stage where they can go to university as yet could, develop their skills and have a proper facility here to basically create a more competitive pool going forward so that when it comes to these selections for Olympic teams, Pan American Games teams, different regional international competitions that could then intensify roads and danger create somewhat more of competition which is out there, therefore raising the standards and the performance of the beach. Does this motivate your government now to push even harder to try to get some progression and some development works here at the Ayrshire Recreation Ground?
So the answer is yes, fundamentally yes. As Steve said, we've been having some discussions, some very strategic discussions, and of course we hope to put some timelines to those discussions very soon. The AA has been seeking to have a meeting with me. Of course, I just came off of graduation, so I've promised them that we're going to sit down very soon, and we'll be able to have those discussions regarding the infrastructure. We know that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and the government will not shy away from ensuring that we have a stake in the development of the track. I think we realize that we have to support on multiple levels. We have to shore up the infrastructure. We also have to ensure that we support athletics in terms of their annual programming. And I want to say that as we seek to flesh out the reality of how we will build out the infrastructure, we've already assisted in terms of the commitment to their annual programming to the tune of $100,000 for this year. And that would have come from them meeting the various criteria set out by the ministry in terms of submitting their annual budget and all the requisite paperwork that would have allowed us, before the budget was passed last year, to slot in that funding in support of their development. And I say that because, of course, while we seek to develop the infrastructure locally, that funding assists them in going to regional events and international events that allow them to be able to compete among the best in the region and the world. Carifta would have been an example of that. So discussions are happening. I'm not one to overpromise and underdeliver, so I prefer to have the difficult decisions, put it in black and white, and seek to then make it public so that we could seek to validate and really see progress move forward.
Okay, my other question too as relates to that as well. You speak about discussions being had. To what extent have those discussions been had in terms of, we have this, I think we started getting this following that whole meeting, and we always hear about discussions, but we do know there are some very immediate issues that obviously would need to be dealt with. For example, some person would focus on the state of the track. Others may look at, for example, the lighting, the lack of lighting and proper lighting to even facilitate developmental meets on a daily basis so that the athletes can then compete, let's say evenings at night or whatever the case is. To what extent are these discussions that you guys are having had at this present moment?
So the discussions are ongoing. I think historical knowledge would show that there was some works to be done regarding the lighting, and I understand that that is with the RDA, and we have to await some proceedings to seek to come to a resolution in that matter. Separate to that, I have said to the BVI AA that we do have some funding budgeted this year, the most we've had in a very long time, under infrastructure for facilities and recreational facilities, and we'll seek to see what we can do from government's perspective with that funding to support the development of the AO Shorty grounds and additional recreational facilities in the territory. So it really boils down to receiving that government commitment in terms of funding, but there is funding there, and as I said, we're going through the processes to ensure that we have the transparent documentation to be able to move the process forward. So when you hear us speak sometimes in a very rounded way, it's because we're in a position where we cannot publicly speak just as yet because the processes are ongoing. But work is happening, as Mr. Augustine said.
In my deliverance, I just wanted to mention something, and it's only when I realized that I was finished that I didn't mention it. But the three athletes certainly are not based at home. They train abroad, and I think where credit is due, it should be given. So I can't sit here and allow this function to end without mentioning the works of Coach Ferry and Coach Arroyo that trains and works with Adeja Hatch, Coach Evans and Coach Scott that works with Karen McMaster, OBE, and certainly Coach JC that works with RICOI. I think at minimum, I just wanted to make sure that I mention their names and the fact that they have aided Team BVI in ensuring that these athletes made the qualifying standards. Thank you.
Sorry, just one more thing for me in saying to the athletes, of course, you're going out, you're going to perform. As we seek to really continue to understand, the role that government plays. Of course, I think most of you know that there's an incentive package for recognizing Virgin Islands medalists in regional and international meets. So as it relates to the Olympics, we do have funding that would be available to athletes once they are finalists or medalists. And so I just want to make those amounts clear. So the cash award structure for the Olympic Games, finalists will receive $12,000, a bronze medalist will receive $25,000, a silver medalist will receive $35,000, and an Olympic gold medalist will receive $60,000. So that will be on behalf of the government of the Virgin Islands to athletes. We've been seeing athletes receiving this funding even last year. Kyron would have received $30,000 from the government of the Virgin Islands for his silver medal. And so just as an incentive, of course, keep that in the back of your mind. And of course, we're looking at ways that we could advance that even as we move forward and develop it so that you could truly be honored from the Virgin Islands for the hard work on the international stage.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to say thanks to all present here today, our sponsors, National Bank, CTL, of course, the Minister and the government of the Virgin Islands for their support of our athletes, to the Association's Executive President, President for Athletics and Sailing, and to you, the media, for being here with us this morning for the 1 hour, and also to the athletes themselves who joined us, and to their family, friends, and supporters for their support, and to say that this is a very proud moment for us here in BVI. We have 4 athletes at the Olympics, and they all qualified, something that we should be very proud of. Again, thank you very much, and we're now going to just break for a moment to take some photos. Thank you.